Hello everyone, welcome to this update. Before we get into this one, remember to hit the like button, the share button, and the subscription button. Remember to comment to let me know your views on this update. Alright, so on Tuesday, March 19, 2024, members of Parliament representing the governing Jamaica Labour Party, led by Prime Minister Andrew Holness, walked out of Parliament while opposition leader Mark Golding was making his contribution to the budget debate. During his presentation, the opposition leader criticized the Prime Minister's wife's appointment as Speaker of the House. Let's go to this update.
When the former Speaker was forced to resign as a result of an Integrity Commission investigation, the move to replace her with the wife of the Prime Minister, so that the head of Parliament is now the spouse of the head of government, really does not sit well with the tradition that the Speaker must act independently of the government of the day. The Speaker is intended to be independent and must act independently of the government today. That is the tradition. That is the tradition. The failure. Mr. Speaker.
Members.
Alright, so here Mark Golding was sharing that the head of Parliament, Juliet Holness, is also the spouse of the head of government, and so this arrangement does not sit well in the context of the tradition that the Speaker must act independently of the government of the day. As a result of this criticism, you could see the Prime Minister repeating words appearing to be low and desperate in response to the opposition leader's statement regarding Juliet Holness. At this point, the government MPs, led by the Prime Minister, left the Parliament. Mark Golding did not get the opportunity to finish his presentation as they lacked the quorum of 16 members to continue the sitting. What are your views so far in the context of this update? Remember to leave your comments in the chat.
Mr. Speaker, the failure to identify the so-called illicit 6 MPs.
Your Prime Minister fire you, both sides. Your Prime Minister fire you, both sides. Your Prime Minister fire you. Your Prime Minister fire you, both sides.
Alright, in the context of this happening, what are your views on the MP's behavior in the Parliament? Please leave your comments in the chat. In the context of Juliet Holness being Speaker of the House, it is important to highlight that her position was supported by the opposition.
We believe that the attack on the Speaker of the House, Mrs. Holness, was highly inappropriate. Mrs. Holness is a member of Parliament in her own right. Her nomination was seconded by the Leader of Opposition Business in the House, Philip Paulwell, and no member of the opposition voted against her nomination, which means they supported it. So for the Leader of the Opposition to now, in his budget presentation, speak so inappropriately about the Speaker of the House, raising negative specters over her reputation and her management of the House, we consider that to be very low and very desperate. And the government side has taken its stance that we will not stand for that sort of behavior, that sort of disrespect, and that sort of desperate politics.
Also, the acting House Leader and Minister of Culture, Gender, Entertainment and Sport, Olivia Grange, shared that she strongly objects to the statement made by the Leader of the Opposition in which he questions the election of Juliet Holness on the basis that she is the spouse of the Prime Minister.
Acting House Leader and the Minister responsible for gender, I strongly object to the statement in the House of Representatives today by the Leader of the Opposition, in which he questions the election of the Honourable Speaker on the basis that she is a spouse of the head of government. The Leader of the Opposition has questioned a legitimate election of the Speaker that was undertaken by the entire House, not by some members of the House. By his statement, the Leader of the Opposition has brought the House into disrepute. The standing orders provide the qualification and process for a Member of Parliament to be elected to the office of the Speaker. It outlines that a member has to be willing to serve in the role and must not be a minister or a parliamentary secretary. When the chair became vacant, in keeping with the standing orders, the member for St. Andrew East Rural was proposed by the member for St. Andrew North Eastern.
Madam Clerk, I beg to nominate the Member of Parliament for the great constituency of East Rural St. Andrew, Mrs. Juliet Holness, to become the Speaker of the House.
And seconded by the member for Kingston East and Port Royal.
Madam Clerk, I beg to second the motion.
There was no objection. No other person was proposed. And the member from St. Andrew East Rural, the Most Honourable Juliet Holness, was duly elected Speaker. There was absolutely no objection to the Speaker's election. So it is disturbing and hypocritical that after more than 5 months after her election, that the Leader of the Opposition should so spectacularly question the election of this eminently qualified woman. Like all members of the House who are not ministers or parliamentary secretaries, she has the right to be considered for the post of Speaker. The two-term Member of Parliament, who also served as Deputy Speaker, was elected to the Speaker's chair on merit, not because of her spouse. It is wrong, and it harks back to a bygone age before women's empowerment to say that she or any woman should be disqualified for any post because of the job of her spouse. The Speaker was duly elected by the House and is a competent and capable Speaker. I strongly object to the position that the Leader of Opposition has taken.
In the context of whether Juliet Holness should step down, Mark Golding shared that that decision is left to her and her husband.
I personally think that on reflection and seeing the way it has unfolded, it would be best if we had a Speaker who one could say is independent of the government. That decision is already made. And for her to step aside or not is really up to her and her husband.
All right, that's it for this update. What are your views in the context of this update? Remember to comment in the chat. All right, so let me know what your views are in the context of the opposition leader's statements regarding Juliet Holness as Speaker of the House, the government MP's response to his statement by walking out of Parliament, and should Juliet Holness step down? Let me know in the chat. Please remember to hit the like button, the share button, and the subscription button. See you in the next video.